Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Today we're going to start working on some firewood, as well as I've got a firewood delivery that needs to go out the door. And while we're working on that, I thought we'd go ahead and start pumping water from pond number 3 to pond number 2. If you guys saw our last video, I have a 3/4 horse submersible pump in pond number 3 with a garden hose running up over our dam into pond number 2. And I had a pretty good viewer suggestion, as well as my dad suggested it as well, to run the garden hose through our little standpipe here. That way I can still drive across this and not have to worry about running over the hose. Another thing I've done is I have added a second pump. I've got a 3rd horsepower pump from Harbor Freight as well. So now I have 2 pumps, 2 garden hoses running through there just to double our output running into pond number 2. And to power that, I don't have a gas generator. I actually sold my gas generator a little bit ago. I have 3 different portable power stations here that we have gotten through, sponsorships on the channel, and I figured, what the heck, I've got all 3 of these here. The point of these companies sending these things to us is to test them. So, you're not going to go out and buy 3 of them, but when you go out to buy one, you might as well have a good idea of which one you want to get. So the 3 that we have here is I have a ToGo Power Advance 1550, I've got the DJI Power 1000, and then I have the EcoFlow Delta 2. So we're literally going to be putting, this is a pretty good test for them, because we're going to be putting the exact same wattage through all 3 of them all day here. We're going to see how long they last, see how long they take to recharge, because I'm going to be running these things back and forth, right? As soon as this one empties out, I'm going to plug the 2 pumps into this one, take that one up, charge it, and just keep swapping and recharging. So we're going to get to see, total discharge time, total recharge time, with a very controlled test, because these 2 pumps are going to put out the same amount of power throughout the day, regardless of which power station is running them. So let's go ahead and start with the ToGo Power Advance 550. To fire this thing on, power button, and then hit your AC button. And within a couple of seconds, we should go ahead and prime those lines, and water should start spewing out. Now, one of these lines, the one that's running right now, is 50 foot, and then you just saw the 100-foot line kick on. So I know that, running this with 2 garden hoses is not going to fill this pond anytime soon, but it's what I have here. And at some point I probably will go out and purchase, either a 2 or 3 or 4 inch trash pump. I don't know yet. It's something that I could use, because I do frequently move water, but I have all this stuff here. I've got the pumps, I've got the power down here. Might as well go ahead and do what I can with what I've got. And at some point we may upgrade to a trash pump. So all 3 of these batteries are at a full 100% charge. You can see this one's down to 99% right now. Those 2 pumps together are pulling 866 watts or 860 watts on the ToGo Power Advance 1550. And it says that it will run those pumps for 1.4 hours. So let's see how accurate, the predictions are on these units. And then we'll go ahead and test out the other 2 as well. All right, so we've got a time lapse here set up. I want to see if we can actually notice any meaningful rise in the level of this pond with just 2 garden hoses and some portable power stations. In the meantime, let's head up to the building there and go make some firewood. While the pond is filling up, we've got a little firewood delivery to take out, and not firewood in the way you're used to thinking about it. I actually have somebody who is buying some firewood logs off of me. I've got a lot of these ones here set off the side. As I'm sorting through the log piles, picking out stuff that'll go through the Yappa 365. Anything that's too big, I kind of set off to the side. That is this pile here. And I'm gonna go ahead and load up the dump trailer with a bunch of logs and take it out for delivery. I have actually measured this in the past. This dump trailer loaded full of logs, cut, split, and stacked, works out to about 1.5 cords, or a little bit more actually. 1.667 is the number that I came up with, and I charged 300 bucks for that. So let's go ahead and get it loaded up. All right, there we go, all loaded up. I know we'll get comments below. $300, that's a ripoff for that load of wood. I'd rather buy a triaxle load. Well, I don't know if you guys have priced a triaxle load of firewood logs lately, but they're running anywhere from 900 to $1,000. And the benefit here is some people can't afford to spend 900 or $1,000 all at once on firewood. So delivering in a smaller quantity is a convenience. So they're paying for that convenience, and also they don't have to store a whole triaxle load of firewood poles. This is much more manageable. Somebody could tackle this in a weekend. I've done it before. When I did that test to figure out how much firewood was here, I cut and split the whole dump trailer load in a Saturday to see exactly how much firewood it came out to. Again, it came out to a little bit over 1.5 cords worth of wood. So again, yes, this is more expensive than buying a triaxle load, but you don't have to shell out $1,000 all at one time, and you don't have to have, you know, a full triaxle load of 25-foot poles sitting in your yard for 3 months until you get time to get to them. So that's the convenience factor. That's why it's a little bit more money. So our first victim just gave up the ghost. The ToGo Power Advance 1550 just quit. It ran for 80 minutes. And as you guys remember at the beginning, it said it was going to run for 1.4 hours, which works out to about 84 minutes. So it's only about 4 minutes short. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and get this switched over, get this one put back on a charger, and let's start running the DJI Power 1000. Well, that's interesting. The ToGo Power Advance 1550 said that it was pulling about 860 watts, and the DJI Power 1000 is saying that it's only pulling 796 watts. So I wonder if there's some kind of difference in the efficiency in which it delivers, because as you can see, we're still outputting the same amount of water, the same amount of work is getting done, but the onboard computer, the Power 1000, is saying we're pulling about 60 less watts. And the projected time for runtime on this is only 63 minutes. So we'll see if we actually get 63 or maybe a little bit more. All right, we just plugged in the Advance 1550. You can see it's at 0%. The charger's putting in about 299 watts, and it is estimating it will take 4.8 hours to fully charge this back to 100%.
How's it going?
Good. Where are we going with it?
A bit of load on the 150, don't you? June, get up there. Go. That's good. Just cut it around like that. It doesn't have to be. You might even be able to keep the truck on the driveway. Yeah. And then it'll be, that's fine right there. I used to get a triaxle load.
Yeah.
For the last 2 years, it pretty much takes me 2 years to cut it up because I don't have the time, you know?
That's
When I saw this, I thought, well, man, that's perfect.
That's the way I see it. This
Yep.
is a little bit more money than a triaxle load when you think about it, because it's probably 4 of these would be a triaxle.
Yeah,
But it's just not so much at once.
that's exactly right. So I had a pile this high, and you're trying to cut it, and it's rolling down on you, you
Yeah.
know, and it just leaves such a mess.
This is
you
more
know?
manageable.
Yep, exactly.
And it's not such a big investment at one time either.
Yeah.
All right, the DJI Power 1000 just quit. We're gonna go ahead and get this unplugged, take it up, get it on the charger, and swap over to the EcoFlow Delta 2. This ran for 60 minutes, and I believe it was estimating at 63 minutes, so about 3 minutes shy. I'm actually very surprised at how close these things are estimating to their actual runtime. The ToGo Power was 4 minutes off, the DJI was 3 minutes off, so very close. I was kind of expecting them to be quite a bit under what they were estimating. We'll go ahead and fire up the EcoFlow Delta 2. And again, you can see it's 100%, well, 99%. Then we'll go ahead and turn on our AC power. Be curious to see if we have a tiebreaker here on how many watts those two pumps are pulling. The ToGo Power was saying that we were pulling 860 watts, and the DJI Power 1000 was saying we were pulling 800 watts even. Yeah, it looks like the EcoFlow Delta 2 is saying 792 watts. So I'm gonna say that the EcoFlow and the DJI are probably accurate, and the ToGo Power saying that it was pulling 860 watts is a little high. One thing I don't care for on the EcoFlow is it does not give you very precise time output. So it just tells you 1 hour. It doesn't tell you 1 hour and 10 minutes or 1 hour and 45 minutes. It just says 1 hour. I'm assuming once you get less than 1 hour, it'll give you, 59, 58, 57 minutes. But I wish it was a little bit more accurate than that. So we'll just have to keep a closer eye on this one. All right, so we've got our DJI Power 1000 plugged in. You can see we're just climbing up to 3% right now. Our input wattage is about 1,152, which is a pretty decent bit of power going in there. And our total time to full recharge is 58 minutes, which is incredible when you compare it to our ToGo Power Advanced 1550, which has now been plugged in for about an hour and a half already. Our input wattage is only 299, and we still have 3 hours left to go. So definitely much faster recharge time on the DJI Power 1000. So we just got another order for firewood. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get around to making any wood today. All right, our third and final power station quit. I'll be curious to watch a time lapse and see how much water we actually gained in this pond. But the EcoFlow Delta 2 made it exactly the same amount as the DJI portable power station, the 1000. They both made it exactly 60 minutes. So let's go ahead and take this thing back up on the charger and see how long it takes to recharge. We just plugged in the EcoFlow Delta 2 and we are at 1%. It looks like our average charging input is about 542 watts, and it says it will take 2 hours to recharge. We are still waiting for our ToGo Power Advanced 1550. It's at 65%. It says it has an hour and a half left to go. And our DJI Power 1000 is almost done at 99%. And you can see that input wattage actually throttled down from the 1100 we were getting to 507. I'd imagine it does that as it gets closer to a full charge, but it says we should be ready to take this one back down in about 5 minutes. So we are going to, the order we did this was the ToGo Power, DJI, and then the EcoFlow, and the DJI is going to lap the ToGo Power. So that'll be the next one we take back down. Just for curiosity's sake, you guys know we got to do a bucket test, see what kind of flow rate both of those pumps together are putting out, because that will largely determine whether I feel like I need to get a trash pump or not. So ready? 1, 2, 3. And stop. All right, so that took roughly 18 seconds to fill that 5-gallon bucket, which means you could fill that 5-gallon bucket roughly 3.33 times in 1 minute, which then works out to, if you take 3.3 times 5 gallons, about 16 gallons per minute. and I looked up even just the smallest 2-inch semi-trash pump from Harbor Freight, and that puts out about 158 gallons per minute. So even though that looks like a decent bit of water that we're moving there between those two utility pumps, it still really is nothing in comparison to even the smallest trash pump. So that just kind of confirms my belief that at some point here in the near future, I'm probably going to get a trash pump. All right, so I think we can finally start making some firewood. Now, if you guys saw one of our last videos, we went on a firewood delivery with Matt from Firewood Guy, and that delivery that we went on had an impact on me. He delivered 11 baskets of stacked kiln-dried firewood, and the whole process was just so neat and tidy. I used to stack all of my baskets of wood. I'd have the Yappa firewood processor come into the dump trailer, and then I would stack out of there to have a neat and tidy process. But I got into telling myself that I was spending way too much time stacking firewood, and that it would be more efficient to just leave it loose thrown into the baskets. And after going on that firewood delivery with Matt, I think I'm gonna go back to the old way of doing it. And I've already got a start on it. Let me show you that. So I've got 6 totes back here all stacked up. By the way, people were asking in the last video, what's up with the pontoon boat? That is my parents' pontoon boat. They're just storing it here for the winter. But I've got 6 baskets stacked and stored indoors, because the other thing I liked about Matt's firewood is that it's kiln dried, it's not weathered. Now, people who know firewood know that, you know, gray firewood is gonna be more seasoned than fresh cut firewood, but that's not true if it's been kiln dried. And the majority of people who are buying, you know, recreational burning firewood, they think that this is better than the gray seasoned stuff just because it looks nicer. It's more pleasantly appealing. And so I think I'm gonna try to start stacking, not all of my firewood, but a good bit of it indoors inside this building. It will still dry in here. It might take a little bit longer because it's not gonna get as much sun and wind on it. But when it is ready to burn and below that moisture content, it's going to look a lot nicer. So that's the plan. Is I'm going to go back to stacking baskets, and I want to store as many of them inside as I can, so when they're dry they look like this instead of the gray seasoned weathered stuff. I thought I would clarify something now that the EcoFlow Delta 2 is mid-charge. It's at 73%. It's taken about 45 minutes to get here. You can see we are getting that 1150 number that the DJI Power 1000 was giving us earlier. And it says we have 26 minutes left to go. So this one should take roughly an hour and 15 minutes to get fully charged there, if that 26-minute number is going to be accurate. And we are still waiting for the ToGo Power to fully charge. It's at 84%, still putting out that 299 watts. So we got some logs delivered, we got some firewood delivered, we made some firewood, all while at the same time pumping and filling this pond and swapping out batteries. We added, I don't know if you guys can tell a difference. I know I can just because I look at it every day, but we added probably a good 6 inches to this pond today, which I know is not a lot in comparison to a trash pump or something like that, but for working with what I had, I'm pretty happy with that. Plus they're calling for some heavy rain tomorrow, up to an inch of rain tomorrow, so that will add to all 3 ponds, pond 1, 2, and 3. And at some point I am going to go and get a trash pump. But as far as those portable power stations go, I tell you, I use those things all the time, guys. It's not just something that they send I use one time to do a video with. I really do use them all the time. Doing stuff like this, you know, the utility pumps, my plug-in angle grinder, any tool. I mean, look at how much work I'm doing out away from the house around here. I need power all the time, and it's like having an infinitely long extension cord. Now, as far as which power station you guys should get, that's entirely up to you. I can tell you from using all 3 of them side by side, the ToGo Power ran for 20 minutes longer than the other 2, but it also has, I think, 1,512 watt hours of battery capacity, whereas the DJI and the EcoFlow have 1,024. So it has more battery capacity, but if you're doing something like what I was doing, where you need to be, you know, swapping back and forth, recharging, and then running it again, I would say that ToGo Power is pretty much out of the question because it just takes way too long to recharge. Only putting 300 watts of input into it and taking 4.5 hours to recharge. For doing something like that, it's just kind of unacceptable, which leaves you with either the EcoFlow or the DJI Power 1000. And the DJI Power 1000 recharged in 60 minutes, and the EcoFlow Delta 2 recharged in 75 minutes. So other than that, I think those two were pretty comparable. The other thing that DJI Power 1000 is set up with that's important to me is USB fast charging for things like drone batteries or action camera batteries, all of which are products that I also use from DJI. I've got the Osmo Action 4 for my action camera. I've got the Mini 3 Pro for my drone. And so it's nice to be able to keep all of those things powered while I'm out here in the field making these videos. So I don't know how many of you guys out there are content creators. If you're not, that might not be something that's important to you, but I know for me, that's something that's important. And that's typically why I tend to lean towards using the DJI Power 1000 for the power station when I go to pick one to run out in the field. Anyways, guys, I think the fall rain is going to be moving in here sometime this evening. It's going to rain all day tomorrow. So hopefully here in the next month or two, we're going to have all 3 of these ponds full. We're going to need quite a bit of rain to make that happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.